So Jerry and Monica, thank you guys so much for coming on to share with us your experience with Transform Flipper Academy.
Thank you for having us, and we're excited to share.
Awesome, awesome. So you guys just completed a successful flip, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Very, very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think when I first met you guys, you were still like in the middle of a flip where the project didn't go so well and it was taking a long time to sell the house, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We were doing like an out-of-state flip. Did
Right.
what we were doing. I think everything we did was just, I don't know, like almost like a gamble.
Yeah.
And then I think the guidance from I think Transform Flipper Academy really, really helped us on our next one
Awesome.
to enable these.
Nice. Nice. So what challenges did you feel like you were facing before joining the academy?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just not knowing kind of the systems or processes, the structure. We didn't have that. Like as I mentioned, a lot of things we did, we thought it was just like a gamble. We were also flipping out of state, so not really knowing kind of the pockets of neighborhoods we should be focusing on, and not really doing the research needed in the neighborhoods. And also just not knowing kind of which parts of the house to really, invest and renovate. So like now we know the kitchen, the bathrooms are very important. Back then we were just like, oh, just kind of make it look somewhat nice and livable, and maybe that'll sell. So we weren't sure.
Got it. Yeah. So you feel like you didn't have much structure and didn't feel like you understood the process when you first flipped the first one, right?
We didn't have an example to follow, so we would do our own research, but it was a lot of guessing, and we were overspending on areas, and then we would find out later. So it was kind of a painful process to learn as we go.
Yeah. So what made Transform Flipper Academy stand out to you when you were comparing like different options, different like coaching programs?
Yeah, I think a lot was also kind of like we wanted to be able to flip locally. Like you were doing it in the Bay Area, so that's kind of what we wanted to focus on as well. You were like kind of a prime example. And then I think kind of the way you deliver the information is very logical. I think the other programs we looked at, they're very like salesy, and they like kind of like overpromise a lot of things. So we didn't really, I don't know, get the best impression of those. So we wanted something, I think, that was more straightforward. Here are the things you need to do, but you also need to put in the work and dedicate the time to it. So I think that was a more realistic approach.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's so true. You need to put in the work, otherwise you won't see results. So at what point did you realize that the strategies or lessons from Transform Flipper Academy were making a difference in your house flip?
Yeah, I think it's when we could really, break down kind of our renovation budget and be able to allocate, this money should, a lot of portion of it should go to like, the kitchen, the bathrooms, and these are the things we should focus on.
Yeah, we started creating a system. So we learned this system from you. And a lot of times we would ask ourselves, what would Alyssa do? So we would have a system to find the deals. We would have a system to comp our deals. And then we would have a system to budget each part of our renovation and timeline our renovation. So it just was like the ABC became clear. Whereas before we didn't really even have an ABC. So we didn't know what part to do first or second, or even in part A, what should we do? So I think like even from the beginning, just looking for the deals, we had more knowledge on what to do. And like we were really thorough about interviewing contractors, thorough about interviewing our realtors, even our stagers, even our hard money lenders. Just every step was more thorough, and it gave us more choice, which led us to success later on.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's really important that you know what you're looking for in your partners, in like different vendors, and then that would help you to feel more confident too, right, in the process.
Exactly. It's so much teamwork when you're flipping a house. So every part of the vendors, like even the stagers, it really, really matters.
Yeah, so true. So can you tell us more about your recent project where you did a really good job?
Yeah, we basically found this. It was actually a listing, just a regular listing. It was just sitting on the market for a bit, and it was priced pretty high, I would say, based on what the comparables were. So we decided to just put in an offer. It was considered a lowball offer, but I thought it was a fair one. I think the seller at the point, I think they were in a time crunch as well to sell. So willing to take basically just a little higher than our offer, but I think we were overall happy with the result.
So it was significantly below the asking price.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one thing we learned from you is like, always go by our numbers. Don't get emotionally attached to the property.
Right.
What you buy for is like kind of how it determines they'll flip. So making sure you buy at the right price is super important. And I think that saved us too, because our renovation budget did go kind of beyond what we expected. But I think we learned from you to have that built-in buffer. I think we were still able to profit in the end and do pretty well.
Yeah, I want to add that one of the part that made us successful in our last flip was how we got the deal. And it was one thing that I learned from Flipper Academy is calling people. And I even had a script on what I would say. And I used to get very nervous calling agents. I would get like nervous sweat and like I would just get so nervous.
Yeah.
I had my script and I knew that I had to call a lot of agents and just give them an offer and ask for the deal. So I think that was what led us to having our first successful purchase.
So you actually cold called the listing
I cold
agent.
called him. Yes.
Oh, cool.
And I did my whole like presentation and we met with him and closed the deal within 24 hours. It was all.
Oh, wow. That was so fast.
Yeah.
So you saw his listing and then you decided to approach him to see if you can make a deal work, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what's really interesting about like our husband and wife partnership is we actually allocate things that we're good at to one another. So Jerry calls me head of communication. So I do all of the calling, all of the communicating, talking to the agents, and he does all of the math and the systems.
He's like more behind the scenes.
Yeah,
You're like the face of the company.
Yeah.
The design, all
Yeah,
that.
design.
Yeah.
You do social media, and I can talk to any agent because I can talk to anybody. But we kind of allocated our strength and play that together to do our business together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you have complementary like skill sets and like personality. Yeah. So that's awesome. I think it's you guys are a perfect match for this business.
Thank you.
So what did you feel like, what were the things that you were able to implement from like what you learned from the program, especially when you had like some challenges in the flip?
Just really getting the properties, at the good price, at the right deal, including the buffer, rehab costs, because you never know when surprises might pop up. And then I think it's just really comping the properties well, spending the time analyzing the deal, making sure the numbers are right, and sticking with those numbers. Don't try to make the numbers work in your favor. It'll fight
Right.
in.
A lot of beginners make that mistake.
Yeah. And then really just interviewing the agents. I think that's really important. Or just working with the agents just to develop the relationship, because down the line, you never know when they might have another deal or you want to work with them again. You kind of invest in that time with those agents.
Yeah, being smart with our budgeting, because before, like in our out-of-state rehab, we would get very personally emotional about certain things. So we would want to use the best finishes or use the more expensive products. But now it's
you were designing it as if it was your home.
My own home, yes. But it's not that we are using less expensive products now. It's just we're being more strategic. We place the good products in prime locations. For example, the kitchen or the bathrooms. But we're okay to refinish beautiful hardwood floors that's already there. So that helped us control our budget more.
That's great. Yeah. It's so important to keep your budget like within the range so that you don't lose money, right?
I still feel like that's an area we need to work on. But that is something that you do so well. You deliver
I try.
exceptional product, but you do it with a strategic financing, like everything looks amazing, but you didn't spend $1 million on it.
Right. I think a lot of it is you want to think about what's the, like you were mentioning, the high impact stuff, right? When you spend $1, you want to make at least $2. You don't want to spend $1 and make $1, then you're not making money. So like think about what buyers would pay for, like the upgrades. Yeah, it's definitely something that you need to like continue to work on. Like I was not very good at it in the beginning either. It's like over time you learn to be more objective, like when you look at these decisions.
Yeah, we would have date nights going to Floor and Decor. We went so
I
often.
love
We
it.
would go Friday night, like after dinner, and we would just hunt. We would be in different aisles. We'll look for tiles that are under $3, and then we'll like take
Mm,
pictures of it. And we'll just have all these pictures of all these tiles that was within a certain budget that when we
right.
knew when we flip, we could go through our phone and pick out tiles that was already the perfect budget that could match
Uh-huh.
our renovation.
Awesome. Yeah, I did that too. I think it's really helpful to have everything in your phone so that you can just like try to look at them together. And you can also, if you go to the same store a lot, you can also just find a rep there and then like kind of build a relationship so that next time you need to look for tiles for a project, you just call them or email them, and then maybe they can send you some products that are on sale. So instead of you having to go to the store every time.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good idea. Even on weekends, sometimes we'll just spend time just going to open houses. It could be just like fixer-uppers or even renovated homes. It's just to, get idea, how homes are renovated or just
Yeah,
meeting the agents too.
Yeah.
So
right.
A rule
I
now
love
that
it.
to
I
go to
think
open
that,
houses. Yeah.
yeah, this passion is so important. If you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right? It feels like a date night.
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's
like
awesome.
scavenger hunt.
Can you share the numbers on the flip too?
yeah, sure. So for this, I'm trying to remember correctly. We bought this property for around like close to 1.3, and then ended up
Okay.
selling for 2.1.
Wow.
And the
There's a
rehab
big
was
spread there.
Yeah. The rehab was pretty high. It was around 400,000, but then we're still able to make around 120,000 in profit.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a big project. So it sounds like you guys did a lot. What are some of the major work that you did on the flip?
Yeah, so originally this was a four bedroom, two bath home. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
large, around 2,500 square feet. It's two floors. So this
Mm-hmm.
house, all the bedrooms are on the top floor, and they were all sharing just one bathroom.
Oh,
We
wow.
thought just to make this a bit better layout, we decided to convert one of the smaller bedrooms into like a primary ensuite with like a walk-in closet. Just hopefully make this more of like a desirable primary bedroom.
Right. Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, especially at a higher price point. If you don't have a primary bedroom, then buyers are like, how do we use this house? Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
it's
And
definitely important. Yeah.
we also spent quite a bit of time and budget opening up the kitchen,
Mhm.
really
Mm-hmm.
expanding it out so that you get light in from the backyard from the deck, and also we also had like a just opening up to the front, so when you walk in, you can really engage with the kitchen and see how open it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we made a beautiful ensuite primary room that had a spa bathroom. So
Mm-hmm.
we did a lot of these layout changes to make the house feel very luxury and more open and modern. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what took the most time. But when we went to show the house, people received it really well.
Yeah. When you put in the work and the thought, like buyers really, they would appreciate the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a,
Yeah.
that's really good, and it makes you feel so rewarded too, right? When the buyers love your product.
Yeah, it was very fulfilling. We went to the open houses, our own open houses, and pretended
Yeah.
to be potential buyers because I wanted to eavesdrop and get necessary information that I can use
Feedback.
to
Yeah.
become a better flipper for my next property. So I would just go into each room pretending I was like looking at the house for the first time. And when people would come to the primary bedroom and go into the bathroom, everyone would gasp, like let out
Oh.
air because they were shocked
Oh.
at just how beautiful and serene the space was,
Oh.
and they
That's
would
so
gasp
sweet.
at the
That's
kitchen. And so then I was
oh,
like, oh, we did something right. Like we both knew, like
right.
we did make the house really, really beautiful and people
Mm-hmm.
love it. And so I was kind of happy to hear that kind of emotional response that the realtor cannot necessarily relay back to me in words
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
it was an emotion, it was a reaction.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it's
remember.
really, really smart to do that research.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we do a lot of weird things like that. Like we even cleaned up extra deep clean ourselves in the end. Like just like
Oh,
our heart was so attached and so in it. Yeah.
that's awesome. I love
I
it.
think one big thing we learned from your academy is like really using kind of the existing layout and kind of making it more functional.
Mm-hmm.
So like we, made the kitchen flow better into the kind of the living and dining areas. And there's also a unfinished basement. It was a huge space. So we decided to just clean it up, finish a bit, put in new flooring, paint it so that there could be extra bonus space for like kind of a like a wine cellar, or you could have just like a playroom, or even like some office
Mm-hmm.
space. So things like that, I think we learned is to just really utilize the space you have. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
spend, the extra time and money to really expand it out, because that costs a lot of time and money, but really use
Mm-hmm.
kind of the current layout you have.
Yeah, logical layout really sells. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that we really applied to this house. And for example, we even added a full bath to the downstairs of the house,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that if they have guests or if you were in the kitchen, you had easy access to the toilet. So things like that were, we would consider that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely important. I think layout, probably other than location, is the next thing that buyers look for.
Yeah.
So how has your house flipping career changed since you joined Transform Flipper Academy?
Yeah, I think we have a kind of a glimpse of, what a house flipping career looks like. And I think it's something we want to work towards more full time. I think we both really enjoy the process. We complement each other well. And I think we really like the kind of the autonomy and freedom it brings.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just to give you a little background, both Jerry and I are very, very active. He goes to pickleball tournaments and plays pickleball
Oh,
competitively.
cool.
I am a national ice dance competitor, so I also compete around the country. And
You
so
compete in what? Ice?
ice dance,
Ice? What's
ice
ice then?
it's ballroom on the ice. So it's
Oh,
you
it's like ice
fall,
skate, like
it's ice
figure
skating.
skating?
Yes, but it's waltz, it's foxtrot,
Oh,
cha-cha.
wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I train like 3 hours, 5 days a week. Jerry
Oh
trains
my
like pretty much
gosh.
every day as well.
That's so
So
cool.
because we train so much and we're so like into our health and athletic lifestyle, a 9 to 5 job doesn't really fit us very well because if you work nine
Mhm.
to five, then by the time you go to train, you're very tired or
Right.
your focus is not there. So we
Mhm.
find that when we have our own business and house flipping, we're able to actually prioritize our health and our passion for our sport.
That's awesome. And Jerry just got laid off, I heard.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
a lot more free time. So.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing in disguise, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that how you feel about it?
No, no, definitely, definitely. And I think it's like, okay, maybe it's a sign. Yeah,
Hmm.
following your footsteps too.
Yeah, I honestly have never seen my husband more happy. So I think when I saw him this happy, I didn't want him to even go back to 9 to 5.
So he's happier like since he got laid off.
10x.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely it means that you don't belong to the corporate world. You belong to the business world where you are your own boss, right? You have more control of your time and your schedule. Yeah, that's awesome. So, what does your life look like now? Like it's a lot of training and then
Yeah, I think, every morning I'm, looking for deals as well, real estate deals, and
Mhm,
it's not a chore to me. It's something I really enjoy. I was like, oh, I wonder what's out in the market today, and then, I'm getting
mhm.
texts from agents and seeing, and I don't find that to be a chore at all. It's something I really enjoy doing, and then I just, doing a lot of comping, seeing what works, what doesn't. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, day to day, I would say like it's not that you have to put in like a full 8 hours a day doing this. We spend two
Mhm,
hours a day probably on comping and researching houses. And we'll also
mhm,
take our weekends to go to open houses. We love meeting realtors through going to open houses because it's face to face.
mhm,
And that's how we meet a lot of people and put in offers. So we do that every weekend as well. And the both of us,
awesome.
we love traveling as well. So every time we
Mhm,
travel, we see it as research of just seeing how other hotels do their finishes, how they design their spaces. That's something
mhm.
that we collect in our memory to bring into our next properties.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. It feels like you are um like doing it not like as you would do a 9 to 5 job. You are like doing it like fitting it into your own schedule and um also enjoying it along the way. That's awesome. So looking back, do you believe your investment in the Transform Flipper Academy was worth it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
it
why?
paid off immediately after one successful flip.
Right,
Um,
right.
like without a structure, it's really hard to have a successful flip. So you may
Hmm.
actually end up losing more money without structure. So
Mhm.
having that structure kind of gives you that support to do the correct steps and the correct process, which then lead you to a more successful outcome.
Right, right. Yeah.
And I think the
Cool.
community piece is also a huge part of it. I don't think we touched upon it yet, but being able to get, instant feedback from, other fellow students in the academy and from you, I think it's super helpful just to guide us along the way, kind of see the success stories of other people in the academy. It really, it's really motivating and it's rewarding, and also being able to just meet them in person as well. I think it's been really fun.
Yeah, because most people are in the Bay Area, so we do meet up and we have each other's numbers. So it feels like just very supportive. And it's also really nice to be able to meet on Mondays, to see you, to ask questions, to know that we're not doing this alone. I think that
Mhm.
was a big part.
Yeah, I think our community is really amazing. People are like so giving. Like I think that's very different from like other groups where you feel like you're competing against each other. So like I like that the students don't feel like it's a like just one pie that everybody's like it's not a zero sum game, right? Like because we can make the pie bigger by working harder on like looking for deals, and there's a lot of resources. So really, I think abundance mindset is key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you guys for contributing to the group as well.
Thank
Oh, yeah.
you. Yeah.